Well, the time is just gone 9:41 a.m. and the question is Oversight versus Overstep as the Sahuk debate intensifies. And today, being a public protest against Sahuk at all the offices in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and in Durban, and calls have been made for people to show their support as a united ummah, to join the picketing, and also to let people's voices to be heard. The poster reads, Sahuk lied to the public and is now voting to change their rules to be regulated and operated to capture your Hajj. Now, we had a panel discussion on Wednesday, and one of the panelists who was supposed to be with us would have been Mufti Ebrahim Smith, who unfortunately could not make it because his flight was delayed from Johannesburg to Cape Town and he got home quite late. And the reason why we are getting Mufti Ebrahim Smith on is Mufti Saab had the opportunity of engaging during the course of the week with Dr. Naledi Pandor and the whole question surrounding DIRCO and the CRL Commission, and where does DIRCO fit into this whole debacle that is playing out. Mufti Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. Jazakallah khairan so much for your time.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, Haji Saab, Inayat, and all our esteemed listeners, and apologies first and foremost for not being able to make it the other day. It would have been loved to be part of that panel, but Allah knows best. At least I have another opportunity, G.
Yes, Mufti Saab, and a specific reason why we have called you on, because I know that you had a fair amount to contribute to that panel discussion we held on Wednesday night, particularly your meeting with Dr. Naledi Pandor.
G, very important. I listened to you earlier in your introduction. You mentioned operator and you've also mentioned regulator. Just one word you left out, and that is traitor. And, I speak openly. That adjective should be added to Sahuk. On Sunday, before I get to Naledi, I called I sent a message. I called one of the senior officials who used to be the former president. And I said, come, let's discuss this because I'm in your area. And he told me he's busy playing golf. So I let you time to play with his balls on the field instead of resolving this issue. I felt disappointed. And then Monday morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent someone that people tried to keep away from me for so long. And that was Dr. Naledi Pandor and her husband as well. And, we spoke about many things apart, this and that. And then when I told her, when I met her, I said, I was your biggest critic. I'm not lying. I used to speak out against you and your policies during your tenure as a minister. I just want to clarify that and put it on a record. And she appreciated the honesty. And then she told me, I need your advice regarding the Sahuk debacle that is happening, because I am very, very unhappy. And this was done in the presence of my colleagues and some other people as well, G.
So let's just talk about, and I think what you mentioned is Dr. Naledi Pandor expressed that she was unhappy. Can you elaborate on that, Mufti Saab?
She said, she asked me that what is happening on the ground. I said, year in and year out, and because of your policies as well and your intervention, whilst you were part of DIRCO, the minister at that time, and you appointed a ministerial committee, and that report wasn't published yet. We're still waiting for it to become public. And then she said, yes, I have to speak to the minister, Zain, and I have to speak to the deputy as well. And Zain is panicking there because he wants this issue resolved. And I paused just there. And I said that what is her grievances, let me know so we can see where we sort of can consolidate and collaborate. And she told me, first and foremost, I want all the operators reinstated. Those people that's been taking people for Hajj and for Umrah all these years that rendered a service, I want them all back. We should facilitate them. They've been doing a good job. It could be regulated better, but they should not be left out of the equation, because she doesn't see a regulator, self-appointed, by the way, being an operator as well. And when she told me that, I interjected and I told her that according to the former president of Sahuk, he specifically told me on the day of the announcement, I can show you the records, 9 minutes he spoke to me. He said Sahuk will be getting the packages from Saudi, and then Sahuk would be adding a profit to that. because of service charges and this charges and that charges, and they will be reselling it to the public. So I specifically told him, so you're asking registration fees, you're asking accreditation fees, and are you going to put profits to that as well? And of course, you're not going to disclose the packages that the Saudis are selling it to you. And then she said, yes, that is one of the aspects. That is one thing that grieves. The second thing is the backlog of Hujjaj who never went for Hajj yet. I think it's about 16,000 or so. She's worried about that. And she would love that the Hajj should be returned to its former glory as before the formation of SAHUC, where people who had money could just access and go. That she wanted in place also. And then from a religious background, a religious landscape, the amount of, our African brothers, they don't really feature on the amount of people that are being accredited. And she wants to see that also. And that's a point that we need to raise, because when you see the list, you'll see from different ethnicities, you'll see, and just for political purposes, you'll see our colored people and our Indian people and other people, but very, very few Africans. And Hajj should be affordable also, because I mentioned to her that the person who's heading the Hajj, he earns for those 9 weeks around about 150K from an organization called Sahuk for doing absolutely nothing. That's 3,000 riyals per week. And she was shocked when I told her that. And I said, I've got everything on record and I have all the proof here. And I spoke against them almost a month ago. Gee.
Yes, Mufti Sahib, also, I think, did she give you any indication that she had any sight of this report? Because we know Dr. Naledi's term ended at the 2024 elections, and I'm not too
Yes.
certain whether she had some insight as to what this report is, because until now, this is what I think everyone is waiting for, is what does this report look like? What does it contain? And we know that certain dynamics have actually changed in the kingdom since this ministerial committee did their work and compiled this report.
Yes, so there's few issues that related to that. She's in Cape Town, by the way. We flew back on the same day. She told me that she's grieved because many people are phoning her and sending her messages and putting the finger of blame on her for having done this to South African Muslims, especially those intending for Hajj. But she expressed that the intentions was clear. It was to regulate without government involvement, meaning people of Muslim Ummah, because I reminded her, we're speaking about the tenet of Islam here, we're speaking about the arkan of Islam, where we would not necessarily allow government to interfere, the same like Salah and Zakat and those things. So that particular document, she told me that they filed it, and she wants it published, and she's going to have it released. And she still has some say and some authority, and she's liaising with both the minister and the deputy minister, and she might just ask them to intervene if South African Muslims and operators and all of these other key players, if they can't resolve this particular issue. And then I told her, what if the document will be, what's the possibility of it being altered and changed, subject to influence or money being paid? Because we living in a banana republic, I was quite open and frank with her, So she assured me no, that it will be made publicly available soon. Most probably after she returns from Cape Town, she's invited to some sort of symposium. So we want to know. And then I told her that same ministerial committee, it wasn't adequately represented. There were no ulama on board. So you had academics, you had the former ambassador Ebrahim Rasool and other people like that. And, you should have included some ulama. She said the ulama were the first people to object. I said, because you didn't listen anything to do with Allah. When you say lillahi, then you need the help of the ulama. And then she asked me, that we need people like you, meaning referring to me. And I told her that I think that we need an ombudsman here for the Hajj, as a Hajj regulatory body, perhaps 4 or 5 people, including ulama and role players, that can ensure South Africans get value for their money, and that the Hajj process is a process that where people can actually benefit from instead of being exploited. And she acknowledged that, and she told me yesterday that we need to set up meetings soon to resolve this issue. So that is basically where we sort of ended off. And I reminded her, I told her that if you want to do anything for Allah before you leave this world, then rectify the wrongs that you've did, by appointing these people, because just by appointing them doesn't mean they have an authority. SAHUC is not an authority. They're an NPC. They're not even an NPO. And also, she was concerned about the money that was in SAHUC's account, what they're going to do with it, and their investments. And I told them if they only had subsidized poor Muslims using that excess profits that they made, it would have been something beneficial. So we spoke about an hour, and this, unfortunately, the segment won't do justice, and it's Friday also. But there's many other things that she discussed with me, G.
Yes, Mufti Saab, and just I think finally, it's interesting that you speak about a Muslim issue without government involvement. But I think what came out very very strongly on the Wednesday night panel discussion is Sahuk assuming a statutory role despite being a non-profit organization, and I think that featured very very prominently. You spoke about the ulama that were not part and parcel of that ministerial committee. But I think it was Dr. Qureisha Suleiman who came out strongly, because there are many ulama bodies that are representative on Sahuk, and obviously claiming to be representative of the Muslim Ummah in South Africa. So that is another matter as well. But the most critical issue is, again, today looking at the protest action that is taking place. And while the minister is talking about the release of this report, which may be a bit outdated because a lot of regulations have actually changed. And as a result of the change in regulations, we are seeing this protest action taking place, the change in constitution, the meeting that is taking place tomorrow, people urging the organizations and representatives to vote no for the change in constitution, because these change of rules is now changing the status of Sahuk from being a regulator to an operator.
Yes. So when I spoke out against them, I called some of those bodies. I think there's 14 or 15 ulama bodies involved. I think it's 25 in total. So I call some of them fictitious paper ghost bodies that only exist on paper with absolutely no credibility. Organizations we never ever heard of. So I don't know what stunt Sahuk was playing by including all of these people on this particular body, and now voting to change the constitution or the prostitution, however you might term it. This is actually what they are doing. And people shouldn't only take the protest action to the offices; it should be taken to the officials' houses. If you want to apply pressure, then show them. And I also called out on the ulama to distance themselves from this particular body, Sahuk, because of the irregularities and all the wrongs that he's been doing. But not a single ulama body came forward, because they're all on the gravy terrain. They fear of losing out. So that is my concern. So this is hypocrisy upon hypocrisy. So that's another key aspect, and I think the Sunni ulama board, they're doing fantastic work, because they're taking the fight, and they're calling government complicit. If you read the report yesterday that they submitted, government will be complicit in putting a Sahuk on a false authority, whereby they think that they have authoritative powers over South African Muslim affairs, something that has to do with our arkans, our tenets of Islam. So they need to step down. The hashtag should be Sahuk must fall. That is what should be done now. And I'm saying this without fear and favor. We should take the fight to them. They're already marketing, sending AI-generated videos, getting people to release their funds and buy into this next year's Hajj. And that they're not telling the people also. They were presented with 3 options, and they chose this option. But what they forget, they told me personally in 20, and I want to share this on air, in 2022 when I went for Hajj, they told me that they want to expand their regional powers beyond South Africa. So they want to be the top authority for Africa, including Nigeria and Zambia and Botswana. Thus, the former president told me himself in the Marriott Hotel at the breakfast table. Now I was just looking at them being power hungry. So they sucking up to the Saudi authorities. That's why they're not commenting for fear. But Saudi, you can still engage with them. Saudi doesn't love negative publicity, and Saudi will change their policies if we send and flood the Saudi ambassador. If we flood his email account, then of course, then action will need to be taken against Sahuk, just by illustrating the frustration of our South African Muslims. G.
Well, Mufti Saab, Jazakallah khairan so much for that. Because next up, we will be getting in touch with former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who led the Ministerial Committee, and we obviously will be getting his thoughts as far as these new regulations are concerned. But also, a lot of focus will be on the report that they had compiled as well. So we're looking forward to that. But for now, we thank you. We say Jazakallah khairan to you, Mufti Saab, for your time. Have yourself a wonderful Jummah, inshallah.
Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh.
Darul Iftar's Mufti Ibrahim Smith with us this morning, weighing in on what has been playing out as far as the Sahuk debate. And this is a debate that is still going to intensify for a very, very long time until we get to the bottom of what is actually playing out. So stay with us. We are going to be running a bit late, but absolutely necessary. Former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool will be joining us next.